shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch. When his 10-year-old son came to investigate the commotion, the father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was just a game. The girl was found shot once in the chest from point-blank range. The mother, who he shot in the stomach, was pregnant at the time. Police arriving on scene after neighbors called 911 found the father in his car listening to the radio.
Welcome back to another episode of the Main Quest podcast. Ooh! This is, of course, the #1 retro gaming podcast that will assure you I sniffed the pen and I passed. This is episode, I'm not sure, 112? 112 sounds right. And as always, I am your host, Keith. And we're going to get to the conversation with Lethco very soon. But first, did you know that he and many others support this very podcast on Patreon? It is true. Believe it or not, they're out there. And for just $1 a month, you can help keep the show running and get more content in return. This month, I'm dropping 2 exclusive episodes. One is a full-on episode on I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, a game that the patrons actually picked for me to cover. The other is a bonus roundtable where me and a bunch of friends talk about our love for metal music. Who would have known there's more to my personality than just video games? But you don't have to worry. It's not all us completely gushing about Slayer or anything. We also dig into how metal shaped our taste in video games and how it has literally gone on to influence game design and soundtracks over the past 20, 30 years. You'll get both of those, plus years of bonus content and over 50 episodes that aren't actually available on the main feed anymore. $1 gets you in the door, and $3 lets you sleep in the bed with your shoes on, which feels illegal. It's not. Don't do that. You're disgusting. But if you do, give me $3 and I'll forgive you. Patreon.com/the main quest, or just hit up the link in the show notes. With that said, Lethco from the Afterglow and the Grimglow podcast is back on the show. He's one of my favorite people to talk about video games with because he does not hold back. If he loves something, you're going to hear about it. If he hates something, you're really going to hear about it. He also picks up on details that I typically don't even look for when I play or talk about a video game. You might remember him from the Vector Man episode, where we screamed at each other about Donkey Kong Country. Most recently, as of this recording, it was a couple weeks ago, but when this drops, it'll be a couple months from now. I was on Afterglow for a 2-hour breakdown of Final Fantasy VIII. I'm glad he's back on, and I'm really excited for you to hear what we think about The Simpsons, Bart's Nightmare. You listen to metal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Me, Toby, Shane from Retro Hangover, and Phil from Deleted Saves did a podcast last night, and we just talked about metal.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about video games. I want a podcast about something else. And it was a ton of fun.
I'd be interested in hearing it. Now, granted, my listening pool is quite shallow, but
Oh, okay. I mean, it's not really like we're talking about like underground bands that only have like 5 listeners or anything like that, you know, so.
I'm definitely usually stick to the big major guns with maybe a few smaller ones thrown in here and there.
Sure.
Sometimes you need a palate cleanser.
Right. We did talk about video games.
It's like
But
metal
it was
music and
mostly-
video games.
Yeah, it was mostly surrounding like the game aspect of the podcast was like the nice nougaty center, whereas like the rest of the dessert was metal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting show to listen to. Like, definitely a palate cleanser, too. That way you're not, like, stuck on one subject. Because I've got a little bit of a variety on my listening list. It focuses on gaming, but, like, there's some, like, true crime and supernatural and all that good stuff in there.
Oh, I'm going to pivot into true crime super hard next year.
There's a few I listen to. There's one that I still listen to, but they followed a couple episodes where I'm just here like,
I used to listen. The only true crime podcast I listened to was Last Podcast on the Left.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stopped listening to them like 6 years ago. They went to Spotify only. And though I have a Spotify account, I have premium. I do not listen to podcasts on Spotify.
Right. I get that.
I was like, well, I guess I won't miss you. And I haven't. So
that's like with me. I actually prefer Apple Podcasts over Spotify. The supernatural and true crime one, they kind of cover both. I was listening to was Lights Out, but they put out like a few episodes where it's like they're going off the deep end, like sexual intercourse with a ghost. I'm like, what? And they treat it like a serious episode. I'm like, man, I'm not feeling this one, boys.
There are people that like think they can sleep with ghosts. I remember, I don't know when this was, but there was definitely like this woman who was like trending, or she went viral because she said she married a ghost or something like that. I don't remember. Those people are out there.
They're definitely out there. It's just the way it was presented. I'm here like, I don't know, boys.
I was going to ask you, since we're kind of talking about the supernatural, what do you think about cryptids? Do you like believe in Bigfoot?
I believe in the possibility. Like, the Earth is a big, big, big place, and there's a good chunk of it, especially ocean-wise, we haven't explored.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, it's very arrogant to believe that we have completely mastered the planet.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I believe in a Bigfoot or a big feet. I feel like we may have discovered that already, but there are like, I definitely believe in like aliens.
Oh, absolutely. That goes back to the arrogance thing again. Like, with as large as the universe is, you can't tell me that there's not a form of life anywhere else. But the flip side of that coin, if you do have a alien race that has somehow mastered faster than light travel, why in the holy hell would they come here?
Other than to make us subservient sex slaves?
That's the only thing I can come up with, raiding any natural resources we have. But then again, our natural resources can be found in abundance elsewhere. So,
upper butts.
I think that was a South Park episode, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, the anal probe. Yeah. Oh, man. That was like season 1, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was like way back when.
It was a long time ago. Speaking of way back and a long time ago, I found this book. I think it's called like the Necronomicon, and I ripped the pages out of it and I handed it in as homework. And the next thing I know, my teacher's eyes start rolling in the back of his head, and he starts chanting these weird things about retro video games. And then they started calling themselves Lethco. So it was like, oh, wow, that sounds like somebody I should have on my show. And so at this point, I'd like to welcome back to the show from the Afterglow and Grimglow podcast, Lethco. How you doing tonight, man?
Well, we came in together once for a very, very good video game. So obviously we have to balance the scales a little bit.
Figure at this point, everybody always gets one good game on the show here. and then the rest kind of seems like jury duty sometimes. But I don't know. I feel like you might feel differently about the game we're talking about tonight than I do, but I don't know. We've kind of been going back and forth off air. I haven't given away my complete feelings on this yet, but
it looks pretty. I'll give it that. Graphically, it's not bad. That's jumping ahead a little bit, I know, but
yeah. Before we get into the main course here, this is your second appearance on the podcast, so we don't really have to talk about where you're from and what you do on the internet, which we'll get to at the end of the show, of course. So we can actually talk about what we've been playing. So what have you been playing lately?
Well, I've been dabbling in F-Zero for the Retro Hangover High Score Challenge for the month. I think I'm currently in third, but I'm like maybe within like a second or two of getting beat if someone can trim their time by just a couple seconds. Along with that, I've done some of the Oblivion remaster that came out recently. And I'd say the third one I've really been into lately has been the Dragon Quest III HD remake.
So 2 really big RPGs and kind of like an arcade, high score challenge going on. Mass Keaton did try to pull me into the high score challenge this month. And I just don't have the time. And I'm sure everybody's like would blow me out of the water anyway. So
I'm shocked that I'm holding third right now because I'm not the best at F-Zero at all. Like the track they're playing on, I cannot play with the hovercraft that you would normally use just because I can't keep that thing off the walls.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Especially if you're chasing a high score. I mean, I played it pretty casually when I covered it on the show, so I didn't have to worry about, being absolutely perfect at it. Yeah. And I've played a couple of the games that they were doing challenges on in that Discord. And it can get infuriating trying to catch up with those guys. They're monsters, man.
Well, the thing about F-Zero, everyone in there will tell you, and I can't tell you the actual name of the vehicle. I like to call them by their primary colors, but they also use the red one because it can maintain a higher top speed. But the problem I have with the red one is that
it has low acceleration.
You have no acceleration, and whenever you hit a wall, you lose all your speed. Meanwhile, the people are saying the yellow one is trash. I'm here like, yeah, the yellow one has killer acceleration. So for someone that makes a few mistakes, you can recover fairly quickly.
I believe the Wild Goose is a glass cannon, basically. I think if you hit like one thing, you're pretty much done.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the red one. But that is something when I was doing research on the game that I found out that was the one that people typically use. It is secretly the best one in the game. And I tried using it. I couldn't really get used to it because, again, of that low acceleration. You have to really utilize the other racers on the track to kind of bump you to get up to speed quickly. And I just can't seem to put that technique together at all.
Yeah, like for me, I think part of it is a childhood bias too. I always played either the blue or yellow ones whenever I had the game as a kid, so that's kind of where I drift to anymore too.
And so the 2 RPGs, how far along are you in those? Is this your first time playing Dragon Quest or Oblivion?
No, Oblivion I played way back in its heyday on the Xbox 360, and Dragon Quest III I beat, I think, on the Nintendo Switch for the first time.
Oh, okay.
But I did
very, very different American RPG and a JRPG.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love the systems in both though for leveling up and making your character more powerful. Which both of the games are really power fantasies at the end of the day. But I like both systems that they use.
Yeah, and I talked a little bit about one of the games that I have been playing, which I'm just going to mention here real quick. Thanks to you, since you're on the podcast right now, was Rhythm Theater Final Fantasy Curtain Call for the 3DS. And I mean, if you want to hear my full thoughts on that, I talked about it on the Castlevania 4 episode prior to this one. And yeah, man, it was really great. It was a cool little game. It's something I periodically will come back to. It's not something I'm definitely going to sit down and just play for, hours on end or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
I liked it when I played it. I want to say it's been like 8 or 10 years back that I really enjoyed it.
It's that old. Wow.
Woof. Yeah, it's old, but man, I'm telling you, for a music-based game, it's pretty fun. It reminds me of Tap Tap Revenge, if you remember that, for the old iPhone back in the day.
It's just so weird because the 3DS library, the 3DS and the DS library is untreaded territory for me. So I'm like discovering this entire library for like the first time. And there's so many great games. And yeah, and that was one of them. didn't really know anything about it. You recommended it to me, and I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna try it. And yeah, it's great. I mean,
the 3DS has so much good material on it.
And then the other game that I was playing was recommended to me by a friend of the show, Tony G, and that is The Binding of Isaac. I'm playing one of the editions. I think it has all of the DLC. I think it's called Retribution.
Is it Rebirth?
I might be wrong on that one.
Rebirth?
I think it's Binding of Isaac Rebirth Retribution or something like that. I think it's like whatever the complete edition is.
Okay.
I might be getting that wrong. Either way, for the uninitiated, Binding of Isaac is a roguelite where basically I don't remember the story. I always skip it and jump right into the game. But I think like Isaac is like gets put in the attic by his mom or something.
Isaac's mom is a very, very highly religious lady to the point to where she is abusing her son, trying to force him into religion. And she locks him in his room and takes away everything from him that could possibly construe to sin, including things like video games and posters and books.
Mm-hmm.
And
and I know there's like little interstitials between stages where like people make fun of him for like using the bathroom and like other stuff.
It's such a good game that it doesn't get old.
Okay, so you're familiar.
Yeah, I love that game. I played the old Flash version way back when, so like I've been there since the beginning.
That's kind of why I stayed away from the game, is because it just looked like a cheap Newgrounds game from 2002. And yeah, there's just something about the art style that really put me off. And I'm going to be honest, I'm still not really a fan of the art style. The gameplay is very solid. And one of the graphical things that I like is how every time you collect an upgrade or a new weapon, Isaac changes to like represent what weapon he's using.
Yeah, and there's so many different combinations too. Like the upgrades will mesh together, and a lot of times the upgrades will play off of each other too in that game. To where if you have like a homing ability and then you get a laser ability, all of a sudden you've got homing lasers.
Yeah, the developer put a ton of thought in how all of these upgrades interact with each other. It's crazy, and I haven't even really skimmed the surface yet. I have not made it that far into the game. I think I've got maybe like halfway into the second dungeon, which is like inside your. I think it's inside your mom's body or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I'm just playing the video game, man.
Well, just a heads up: beating the game is not actually beating the video game.
Of course. I doubt it is. Yeah.
Well, like you just unlock more stuff and you unlock more stuff continually.
Mm-hmm.
And not just items, you unlock levels.
Lots of poop in this game.
And blood.
A lot of poop. A lot of bloody poop.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of bloody poop and excrement, you want to talk about tonight's game?
Oh, well, I thought we were going to talk about unlocking doors, which would bring us into this game. But yeah, I like your segue too.
Today we played The Simpsons, Bart's Nightmare. Speaking of colons.
No, that was a good segue.
As always, I like to begin our discussion with what our previous history with the game is, what our past is prior to coming into the podcast. And we'll start with you, Lethko. What's your previous history with Bart's Nightmare?
This was a rental. It was a risky rental because before renting it, I remembered Bart versus the Space Mutants on the NES. And I didn't like that game, but I flipped the back of the box, and the graphics looked similar to the Simpsons arcade game, and I figured I'd take it home and give it a shot. And I did give it a few re-rents just because I thought maybe there's something I'm not getting, one of those games. And then after those like 2 or 3 re-rents, I'm like, no, it's not me. It's the game that's wrong.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the other games. I'll probably bring that up a little bit later. But my previous history is pretty much the same. You know, this came out in the height of The Simpsons popularity. And so growing up, I was watching a lot of Simpsons, playing a lot of Simpsons games. A lot of veteran Main Quest listeners will know that I covered some of those NES games already, played those. This also will not be my last Simpsons game that I cover. But yeah, I dared to play this and rent it over and over again until I collected all of those pages. I never did. Spoiler alert. I still haven't for this playthrough. But like, I liked some of the mini games when I was a kid. It was ironically mostly the shooter and the rampage-esque mini game where you're stomping around the city. And I think I really enjoyed those back then because it was kind of a technical showpiece. Like, those sprites are huge. And the animation for those is drawn really well.
Yeah, that's one area I can't fault the game, is that the artwork is, for a 16-bit game, the artwork is done very, very close to the way the show is.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it was like, wow, this is just like the cartoon. And it was like reminiscent of the arcade game, but we were playing it at home. So yeah, I mean, I think the variety and just the way the game looked had me coming back and renting it over and over again until basically the video store decided to take it off the shelf. And I ultimately forgot all about it until I had to put it on the list for this podcast. So
Well, I will add, it also was one of those few games back then that had a variety of gameplay. Like, it's not just a side-scroller shooter. It's not just an action platformer. It's not just a puzzle game that I can't figure out because Indiana Jones and this. Anyway.
We'll get into that in just a second. First, let's talk about the development history. The Simpsons: Bart's Nightmare is, well, I don't know how you would put it. What kind of game is this? A compilation game?
I would call it a mini-game collection.
A mini-game collection? Yeah, that sounds right. It's certainly a video game. It was developed by Sculpture Software and published by Acclaim Entertainment. The personnel on this game was led by Bill Williams, Ken Grant, and composers... Okay. So is it Mark Gaines? Mark Janus? I'm sorry. I'm not an adult. I'm not old enough to read this name out loud.
We'll call him Mark Ganous.
We're talking about The Simpsons. His name sounds like one of Bart's prank calls to Moe's Tavern. Is Mark Janus there? Can I speak to Mark Janus?
Flaming Mouse.
Yes, I'm looking for a friend of mine. Last name Jazz, first name Hugh.
Hold on, I'll check. Hugh Jazz. No, somebody check the men's room for a Hugh Jazz.
Sorry, Mark. No disrespect. I just, again, I'm not an adult. Anyway, Mark was a composer along with Kingsley, a.k.a. King Thurber. I do want to talk about Bill Williams. I think I mentioned that as much in our chat. But first, as far as Ken Grant goes, one of the programmers, he kind of jumped around in the industry until he landed a job at a developer called Sapphire as a lead programmer. And I think one of the last games he ever worked on, speaking of the DS, was a Hannah Montana game in like 2003. And then Mark Janus did what most American developers tend to do when I bring them up on the podcast. And that's go and work on Call of Duty games for the rest of his life, which is like It's a paycheck. It probably pays the bills. So.
I mean, it's COD, so he's probably making a good chunk of money.
Yeah, he's probably doing just fine. Get your money, King. Speaking of kings, King Thurber retired from making video game soundtracks by the end of the 90s. And after that, pivoted to making music and sound effects in the film industry. And then I went and checked his IMDb, but it certainly does not reflect any of that. And it's pretty hard to find anything that he's done outside of the games industry, which is kind of weird. But I did find out that he did work on both Super Nintendo and Genesis games, so he's familiar with that hardware. As far as the Genesis goes, he's obviously very intimate with the Sega Gems hardware that we all know and love, because that's just what Americans had to work with.
That's such a shame, too, because that sound chip is actually very capable. It's just that we got such a cut-down version whenever they made the development tools over here.
Yeah, I think most composers, gosh, I can't remember, but I covered some game where the developer was one of the lead programmers of the Gems sound chip. And the soundtrack, ironically, for that game was dog. It was so bad. I don't remember what game that was. Was it? I think it might have been Tasmania. I'm not sure.
Well, if I recall correctly, Gems wasn't the sound chip for the Genesis. Gems was the engine that most of the American developers used because it was an easy engine to work with to get sound out of the Genesis.
Yes. You are correct. But well, who I really want to talk about is Big Bill Williams, and I'm sure that's what everybody called him. Bart's Nightmare was the last game that he ever made. There is not a lot of information out there on the development of this game, but what has been corroborated the most from a lot of interviews and articles on this game is that the development for Bart's Nightmare was a nightmare, more like Bill's nightmare. Am I right? No.
Yeah, which is a shame because he made Necromancer, which is a really good game for the Amiga. So it's a shock to go play something like Necromancer and then play Simpsons, and it's like, this is the same dude.
Yeah, it was like this game and Monopoly were like the only two licensed games that he worked on, and he absolutely hated it. And then, yeah, prior to that, he was making Atari and Amiga games all on his own, from like the artwork to the music to the programming. Like, he did everything all by himself. And like, you know, the games were good. They weren't breaking any like new ground or anything like that. I think one of the things that I read about him was that he mastered a programming technique on the Amiga that forced the computer to produce more color than it was actually capable of. Like, it was a little trick people used that he completely mastered. So I feel like from what I've read, a lot of his games kind of flew under the radar for the most part. And so I think it's obvious why he may take a job doing a licensed game.
He enjoyed working on The Simpsons so much that after he completed it, he left the game business and wrote 2 books on theology.
Well, it sounds like he didn't even finish the game. I'm pretty sure he left before the game was done and Ken Grant took over.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the details, again, are kind of vague. You know, from what I've read, there's just a ton of corporate meddling during the development for this. Matt Groening pretty much had final say over everything, and if listeners don't know who Matt Groening is, he's the creator of The Simpsons. So he pretty much had the final say on everything that happened in this game. And so it had to have been a huge pain in the ass to not only have to worry about deadlines and programming and having somebody constantly breathe down your back to make sure everything is fitting into some sort of like parameters for like to keep investors happy. And, you know, you mentioned the NES games prior to this. And besides for the arcade game, those NES games are horrible. They were bad games. There's nothing redeeming about them. In one hand, I can understand Matt Groening getting involved in the project and wanting to like translate his property correctly to a video game. But like on the other end, like to what end, man? Like, I don't know. It sounds like two different creators who work with two very different mediums, just not working well together.
So I think part of it might be Groening's need of control, because I'm sure there's like a Simpsons Bible out there. It's like, this is what Bart can and cannot do. Like, if you look at the art of the Simpsons, there's a book out there that shows you how to draw in that style. And there are so many rules, like just about eyes. It's like no one can have more than 3 eyelashes, or the little dots for the eyes have to be little dots, and they always have to be horizontally aligned. And just having someone like that coming in while you're trying to develop a game, I can see how it would turn into a nightmare, no pun intended.
Yeah, we'll be tossing that one around all night, I think. I mean, the arcade game was a fun game, right? And I think it's still, I haven't played it in a long time, but I would imagine it still holds up today. It's a fairly simple beat 'em up. But why do you think a lot of the other home console games were just such a slog in this era? The Simpsons specifically, I'm sorry.
I think it has everything to do with your developer and publisher. The arcade game was done by Konami, and they were a master of the beat 'em up arcade style. Like, they came out with the Ninja Turtles beat 'em ups as well, which again, similar engine, classic game. Whereas all of your Simpsons games were done by Acclaim. Like, I know all those NES games, along with this one, were all done by Acclaim, and Acclaim's not really known for very many high tier games. Like, I think they did like the home versions of Mortal Kombat, and that's probably their peak of popularity.
Yeah, I do think it's funny that you mentioned how Acclaim's games are not very good. I mean, Acclaim, so I'm skipping ahead here a little bit, but Acclaim acquired Sculptured Software in 1995. And that's mainly because that's all Acclaim ever did. Acclaim never actually developed a video game. They just ate developers and had them make video games. Acclaim doesn't make video games. And I think I made
like modern day Microsoft.
Basically, yeah. And like, I think I made a tweet or something, or I blue skied a post or something like 2 months ago, when people were like screaming and like getting hype about Acclaim coming back to the industry. Like, there's a bunch of weirdos out there that like rejoiced about this. And I was like, why? Like, Acclaim has never made a video game in their entire lives. And like, all of the games that they've put out are like a good 6 out of 10 at best. Not to give away my thoughts here, but like, I don't understand. People are just, I don't know. They get nostalgic over a fucking logo, I guess. Like, that everybody wants branding. Like,
I think they remember like Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam. They're like, oh, I remember Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam, but then they, forgot about, the rest of their catalog.
But Acclaim didn't make those games. That was Midway.
No, but they were more than happy to publish them, weren't they?
True. Anyway, yeah, I just needed a rant there. Back to Big Bill Williams. I think the most tragic part of this, as you said, he went and wrote 2 books on philosophy after he left the games industry. But he was born with cystic fibrosis, which is a diagnosis that's basically a death sentence. Like, most people don't live past a few years with it. And he actually passed away in his late 30s in 1998, I believe. So yeah, man, kind of a sad little story here. But I don't know. Maybe it's not as sad as I'm making it out to be. But, he was probably pretty happy after he left the games industry. Crazy to think of, what the game industry has become now. He's probably rolling in his grave at this point.
Oh yeah, well, the days of just a small team of 5 to 20 people developing a game are pretty well only still seen by the indie industry at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And funny you should bring up Mortal Kombat. This isn't going to be the last time I talk about Sculptured Software because they did the Super Nintendo port of Mortal Kombat 3. And then they also did the follow-up to this game, Virtual Bart, which I'll also be talking about. But as for The Simpsons: Bart's Nightmare, it was released on October 12th, 1992 for the Super Nintendo in the US and January 9th, 1993 in Japan and Europe. It has only received one port, which was on the Sega Genesis. Review scores for context. GamePro gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Enforce gave it 87%. Superplay gave it 91%. Game Informer 9 out of 10. Computer and Video Games gave it a 90 out of 100. So this game had an incredibly positive reception in 1992. And then finally, of course, we have Saxton Leach on Google who says, well, first of all, they gave it a perfect 5 out of 5. It also says, it was the best game when I played it. Like, I love it. It is the best also because it has so many levels and it has Bart Simpson.
It's 4 out of 5 points right there. It's got Bart Simpson in it.
It has, yeah, that's all it needs. His name is in the title. Can you believe it?
Do your podcast feel underleveled? Sick of content that doesn't overclock your ear holes? Crack open a cold can of Hell Piss Zero Mercy. It might sound like an energy drink, but it's actually the main quest Patreon attacking your nervous system. For less than the cost of a loose copy of Perfect Weapon, you'll get bonus episodes recorded in an abandoned KB Toys. Early access to episodes before you even know you want them. Listen as your host Keith researches and revisits and re-evaluates retro games with a mix of sarcasm, sincerity, and that thing scientists call good podcasting.
No actual scientists are consulted in the making of this podcast. Good podcasting is not a medically recognized condition, and any resemblance to sincere analysis is purely coincidental.
We gave the main quest Patreon to a test group. We're still sorting out the consequences.
Ever since I joined the Patreon for the main quest podcast, Keith has unleashed the beast in me. Ever since the Primal Rage episode, I now go to random children's birthday parties in an inflatable T-Rex costume to brighten their day. And if
The Patreon gave me emotions. I do not want them. Please kill me. It's okay to like a video game.
Join that before the algorithm bans it for being too powerful. Link in the show notes. Or scrawl main quest in blood on your nearest Wii U gamepad and whisper Keith 3 times into the mic.
Hell Piss trademark has not been evaluated, approved, or acknowledged by any real government agency. Side effects may include stick drift, polygonal hallucinations, involuntary bricking, aggressive XP drip, LAN party flashbacks, emotional damage caused by hot takes, spontaneous quick time events, and a strong desire to rank every Gex game. Do not consume if you are pregnant, wear deodorant, or currently dating. Contact Dr. Mario if symptoms persist. May permanently overwrite your taste profile. Void where prohibited. But of course, none of those scores actually matter. What matters actually is you, listener, and that's the Retro Recollections. Let's hear what you guys think about Bart's Nightmare. And if you would like to participate in a future Retro Recollections segment, all you got to do is join the Discord. Come hang out. Link is in the show notes. It's the only way you're going to get on the show and have your voice heard about the video game that we're talking about. And we're going to kick it off with the Masked Keaton, who says, The mini games are amazing. The overworld is a neat idea, but often the time it took to find a homework page killed the flow of the game. I could summon the music and voice clips to my mind immediately, though. Great work there.
Keaton, if you're out there listening right now, your English is significantly better than Mr. Leach's.
Yeah, he put it together. He put it together so much more nicely and succinctly, and I still stumbled over his words. A little more positive on this game. I appreciate that. Chris Copleen, of course, of Retro Hangover, says, "Ha ha 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 ha! But I'd rather play it than Virtual Racing."
Racing!
Thank you, Chris. He did it on purpose. Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon of the Fun and Games and Reignite podcast, of course, says, I was a huge Simpsons fan growing up and played both NES games before this. I remember loving the mini games in this, but hating having to navigate the overworld. Yeah, 100%. I do have a problem with some of the mini games, though, so I don't know.
I've got major problems with the overworld as well.
I mean, their Retro Recollection basically mirrors our previous history, basically. Knocking the old NES games, kind of being a fan of the mini games, but not really so much the overworld. So, next is Soups, who says, remember The Simpsons? Now they're back in video game form. The gift shop was out of Bort license plates, so I gave this game Mono Star. Mono means one and star means star. If I ever have a kid, I'll tell them to shake their fist harder at this game, as it was the style back then. Thank you, Soups, as if this episode won't have enough references. Yeah, we're definitely going to oversaturate this episode tonight. And lastly, we have Van Fernal, who says, we used to own this fever dream during the SNES games. For every charming element from the TV series it also brought a frustrating minigame. Still torn to this date without knowing whether I'm fond of this game or hate it with a passion. Yeah, I will say, coming into this game, I had strong feelings about it, and then I played it, and, well, hey, let's get into it. Why don't we? Talk about our current experience with the game. And I start with the story and plot here. And I'm going to basically talk about the manual for a second, which is something you actually sent. I mean, I had looked at it prior to this, but I brought it up again to look at it now. And man, there's some really cool, original illustrations by Grading himself in here. And I do enjoy that the manual actually goes into detail about all the mini games in here, which would have been helpful to look at while I was playing it. But
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you sent me the manual recently. I mean, what do you think of it?
I think this would have come in handy if it would have came with the game whenever I rented it. Just for the flowchart of the Windy World, which is like the hub area. The enemy description and what they all do, it's really helpful.
Yeah, I was even surprised that they had a name for the hub world. I was just like, it's Evergreen Terrace or whatever street the Simpsons live on. But it makes sense because everything's the pages flip around and makes total sense. But yeah, man, I miss the old Simpsons illustration. I think that's also one of the things I don't like about the newer episodes of The Simpsons is that, and by newer, I mean from the past 15 years, I would say. So the animation is just too clean. I'm not a big fan of it. There's so much of a more human element to that stuff, to the older stuff rather. And a lot of that's reflected in the manual. And I think it's very cool. And don't remember having the manual when I was a kid. I don't know if I had it.
They definitely did not have it at the rental store where I got it from, because just being able to read the manual gave me some new info that I didn't have as a kid, like the bubble gum that you can blow to get the Z's. Apparently, if you hold the Y button, you can control the speed of it. That would have been incredibly helpful to know.
Yeah. Yes, it would have. Okay, so I'm supposed to be talking about the story. It's simple. Bart is doing his homework. He falls asleep. Problem is, if he doesn't finish his homework and doesn't get a good grade, he's doomed to repeat the 4th grade forever, even though that's exactly what he does in the show anyway. So he begins to have this nightmare where his homework goes flying out of his window. He chases after it, and then he lands in the Windy City. It's not Chicago. It's still Springfield, but...
Well, the game is loosely based off an episode of the cartoon.
Really?
Yeah, the episode 1 of the 2nd season, Bart Gets an F. The game is very loosely based off that. I mean, he don't have the whole nightmare scenario in it, but the pivotal storyline in that episode is if Bart cannot pass his final test, he has to stay back in 4th grade.
I mean, that was always kind of Bart's character back then. He was the problem child, right? You know, Lisa was kind of the perfect straight A student, like moral high ground and, you know, good standards and stuff like that. Bart was problem child, right?
Like the episode even copies the ending screen of the game. Like at the end of the episode, he's putting his paper on the fridge.
Okay. What if this game just took place in Chicago? What if Bart had to, instead of dodging basketballs and Lisa, he had to dodge bullets and homeless people?
I mean, Bart is trying to do some street rapping right before he wakes up.
Is he?
Hey, man.
Oh,
hey, man. Hey, man.
You know, I wouldn't have considered that rapping, but I think you're probably right about that one. Yeah, because it kind of goes to the beat.
The Super Nintendo. It's the best they could do.
Anyway, we basically have to find Bart's 8 pages of homework like it's fucking Slender Man or something, which, hey, Simpsons did it first, which is a South Park reference about the Simpsons. Now we're going, now come on, Soups, can you keep up? We're going 3 layers deep of references now. I think it's fine. It's whatever. It's like you said, I mean, it's very reminiscent of the actual cartoon. It's very reminiscent of who Bart was at the time. And I think it's cool because the game actually, like, you don't need the manual to know the story. Like, these events play out at the beginning of the game. So it's very easy to understand what we have to do.
It's just doing it. That's the trick.
Right. My question for you, though, before we move on to the gameplay proper, is does this game and plot sort of feel like a Treehouse of Horror segment more than like a regular episode?
I can kind of see that just because of the minigame connection. Everything is like a small slice, kind of like a Treehouse of Horrors episodes. It's just a bunch of small slices and snippets.
Yeah, because when you said like this was actually like part of the show, I thought you were going to mention Treehouse of Horrors actually, not just like a regular episode. But
if I had to compare this to anything, it kind of reminds me of Resident Evil, how it's got that first-person door opening animation.
Oh, Simpsons did it first.
Yeah, that's right, they did.
Yeah, let's talk about the gameplay. Let's talk about what we played for the show tonight. And I think I talked to you off air about this. I think it would be easiest to frame our discussion around each level or mini game. I'm going to call them levels, since the gameplay for each one is so different, right?
So are we starting with a certain minigame, or you want to
No,
start with the hub
I
world?
figure we start at the hub world and then work our way through the outline.
Okay. The hub world.
Yeah, man. So yeah, here's the thing about Bart's Nightmare, right? You spend most of your time not actually playing the fun parts of the game. It's mostly wandering around Springfield in what is essentially like the most hostile cul-de-sac on Earth. I mean, it may as well be Chicago.
The longest city road ever.
I mean, it's basically just a linear street. It doesn't end. And the entire time you are just dodging flying mailboxes, basketballs, Lisa fairies, old ladies, and a school bus that can ruin your entire playthrough. The hub area is where you will burn 70% of your playtime. And it's also where the game is actively gaslighting you the entire way.
The controls don't help any. Like, Bart has a Simon Belmont jump, which the Simon Belmont jump works perfectly in Castlevania because your sprite's small. You can look ahead. You can plan. The game is not moving at a incredibly fast pace. Whereas in this game, you're zoomed in too much. You're having to make very quick movements, especially if that school bus is coming in on you. And his dedication to his jumping arc does not work.
Yeah, there's no rhythm to the game. You know, in the last episode when I talked about like the older Castlevania games, the NES games, there's like a rhythm to those games. And if you don't find your rhythm, you're going to have a tough time. But once you snap into what the game wants you to do and how it wants you to move, you're having a great time. Those games are great. Bart's Nightmare, not really, because it's just throwing stuff at you all the time. And yeah, the controls are so stiff. And the enemies are constantly respawning, and you don't know what's going to spawn next. It's all just complete RNG. You might have a Lisa fairy at the top of the screen, and to avoid her, you might go down to the bottom of the screen, and then there she is again. And then, dude,
there's so many different types too that you have to memorize how to get out of the situation. Like, you'll have the Lisa fairy trying to turn you into the frog. You'll have the bullies that are trying to drag you along with them. You'll have the Lisa saxophone that reverses your controls. You'll have Skinner who'll put you in a suit and limit your speed, which, you know, that's great to actually, you know, limit your controls even more than what you already are.
Yeah, like the same things never happen twice, and most of the time, like, nothing really happens at all. But it's like you're always constantly having to move around. It does, like, you just cannot sit still. And the goddamn Jebediah Springfield heads, dude. The goddamn heads, they like spawn 3, 4, 5 at a time, and there's such like little space between them, and Bart can't jump. He can't jump. You could jump over like one of them and get rid of them, but you're probably going to get hit by the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth one. But then you're like, okay, here comes a row of heads down the street. Let me cross the street. Oh, I got hit by the bus. Or maybe you don't get hit by the bus. Maybe you actually make it across the street. But then here comes another line of 6 heads, and you're just like, what the like, it's...
Well, that was my complaint around his jumping mechanic. If you had Mario-style jumping in this game, you could probably work your way around the heads okay. But because you're kind of dedicated to your jump arc, there's nothing you can do. And then while you're trying to dodge all this garbage, you've got the mailboxes coming at you. You're having to keep an eye on.
Well, you can't even keep an eye on the mailboxes half the time because the school bus is in the way sometimes.
Yeah, that don't help matters any.
Dude.
And then you don't know where to go to find the page. More or less in the overworld, you have to find a floating piece of paper and jump on it to be able to choose a minigame. And you don't know whether it's to the left or to the right. So you could be going the wrong direction for a good 4 or 5 minutes before finally you'll do something for a little arrow to pop up to be like, no, it's the other way, jackass.
Let's go.
Am I giving too much away?
I'm trying to calm myself down. It's been a while since I've gotten this mad on the podcast before. Sometimes the piece of paper doesn't show up for like 15 minutes at a time. I do not. I spent 15 minutes straight looking for a page, and I even wrote down in my notes, can't find paper in all caps. And at one point, I honestly just considered that should just be the subtitle of this game, because it's all RNG. Like there's no paper. I couldn't find any paper. And the arrow that you talked about, like that's just a item that appears. Like if you don't, I think it's like the form of like a bubble or something. So if you don't jump into the bubble, if you miss the bubble, like if the bus gets in the way and you can't hit the bubble, you don't get an arrow. It doesn't tell you where to go. This game. Not this game. This area too. Like I hate it so much.
We're not even done yet though, because on top of that, your life meter is a bunch of Z's, but you can use bubblegum to catch a Z that's floating on the screen. And if you catch it, you can raise it up. And if you can manage to maneuver it inside your meter will catch it and give you another hit.
Yeah.
But it only works for the blue Z's, not the red ones. Don't know why. But
yeah, and you mentioned the mechanic of controlling the bubble gum, which I'm sure all of this is in the manual. I didn't know any of this. I had to look this up because, yeah, I was dying a lot. Like the first 20 minutes that I was playing this for the show, I was dying a lot because the game doesn't tell you any of this stuff. It doesn't tell you that you can control the bubblegum mid-air. It doesn't tell you that you need to be catching Z's as part of your health meter. It doesn't tell you, it doesn't explain why the red Z's, I don't even think the manual explains why the red Z's pop your bubblegum, but regardless, none of this is explained in game. Like you have to go elsewhere to go find this information. So yeah, imagine my frustration as I'm just like, all the stuff that I've been complaining about is happening all the time, and I have no idea how to get more health.
yeah, and like even other moves in the overworld that aren't explained at all, like the soda can, which gives you a burp, which is supposedly a screen clear, but like I never really saw how it was taking out everything on screen, just because there's always so much going on.
That's news to me. I saw that there's like a little monitor that walks around, like a monitor or a TV that walks around in the middle of the street. And in the manual, it says something about if you shoot it with a melon seed, that a surprise will happen. Just tell me what happens, because I'm not going to do it. Like just tell me, manual. You don't have to, like, I don't want to shoot the TV. I don't want to stick around and shoot the TV. Just tell me what happens. I don't care. Tell me what happens in your video game. I don't want to play it.
Well, some form of tutorial would have been fairly nice, or at least maybe give us an area where your hub screen isn't completely chaotic at first. Give me time to learn what I have to do.
Yeah, it's easily, like, I can't think of any redeeming factor to this other than, like, I'm sure it was a great idea on paper, no pun intended, but, like, the execution is just, I mean, it's awful.
If this game would have ripped the overworld completely out and given me a minigame selection screen, it would have brought its score up so much higher.
Yeah, I think, like, as a whole, this game would have worked much better if it was more closely related to a typical arcade game, where I guess if you wanted the hub world experience, that could be a mode. So sort of like a story mode, you know? Whereas, like, yeah, you play the hub world and then you play the game as we played it, right? And then maybe for people who don't want that experience, and you shouldn't want that experience, maybe they have more of an arcade mode where it is you just play the mini game and go for a high score and high score chase with your friends and stuff. That's the move.
Yeah, because like that overworld is just, it's broken. There's no other way to put it.
Well, we've been talking about the mini games or the stages or whatever. Let's talk about the good parts of this game, because I have nothing else to say about the hub world. It's It sucks. It sucks. It's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's easily the worst part of the game.
All right, let's talk about the first minigame here, which is Bartzilla. It is a 2-part stage that mostly plays off the mechanics of Rampage. The first half is just this fun little side scroller, just mindless destruction. You get eye lasers, fire breath, and you're basically shooting down tanks and helicopters. Not very hard. It's really all about just pressing the right buttons quick enough and recognizing the different patterns that are going on. And then
It's not bad, and everyone enjoys a good beat 'em up where you're the monster. Although I do have one big gripe about it, and I don't know if you're going to follow me on this or not. Did you ever play Contra on the NES?
100%. Yes.
Okay, so do you remember the laser gun?
No, because why would I pick anything else but the spread shot?
Well, in the laser gun in that game, if you're firing your laser and you try to fire it again before your laser beam has gone off screen, your laser beam will despawn and a new one will fire from your gun. I don't know why it's set up like that, but I bring that up because Bart's eye lasers in this game do the exact same thing. If you try spamming them, they keep resetting.
Yeah, which is, I think, is just a memory limitation. Which I wonder if that was an actual thing on the Super Nintendo. I would think that wouldn't be an issue. I wonder if this game started as an NES game.
Possibly, because these are the only 2 games, this one and the original Contra NES game, that have that weird laser mechanic. And it's also ironic that they're both weapons are lasers that do it.
I noticed it. It wasn't that much of a problem. I will say the only...
No, I'll take that. It's a breath of fresh air after that overworld to just have a nice, simple, I know what I have to do, let me do it.
Yeah, I'll say, like, I don't want it to... I guess I may have sounded a little, like, glum about it. That's actually, like, a very good positive thing to say about this game, so... Take what you could get.
Like after getting through the chaos of that overworld, it's just like, oh.
Yeah. Well, so this is kind of where some of my frustration started to come back into play here, because the second part of this stage is the skyscraper climb. So you're basically climbing up a giant skyscraper. You're getting items thrown at you from windows as you climb up. Sometimes those items spawn off screen, so you don't even really know where they're coming from. And then Margera, it's basically Marge is Mothra. Margera, we'll call her Margera, is flying back and forth and is trying to knock you off the building as well. And then finally, if you get...
I will say I love the look of Margera.
Well, again, this is... So Bartzilla, this is the one mini game that is really showcasing like how detailed and beautiful these sprites are. Like the animation on this stuff is fantastic. And then when you reach the top of the tower, Homer's on it, and he's
Homer Kong.
Homer Kong, and he just knocks you down. Like I could not find any way around him or any way to actually finish the stage and get the page. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, and it basically it kept me from finishing the stage. I couldn't get past it.
I've never been able to beat it either. I did look at a Let's Play of it, and the way he beat it, your Bart lizard charges this electrical charge or something, and whenever he's touching Homer Kong, whenever he's got that electrical charge, it shocks him and shrinks him.
Oh.
But as far as how you do that, I'm not real sure.
Interesting. Yeah, anytime I ever got close, he just punched me and I fell off the building. You don't get a lot of tries because as you move up the screen, it's one of those situations where I don't know how to describe this, but it's not a scrolling stage. The stage does not scroll. So as you move up, if you fall, it's basically over. Like the screen does not scroll with you. It's not like you just fall down and you keep climbing back up. It's just you get knocked down and you're done. So yeah, getting to the top was and then getting knocked down was very disheartening. Especially when you have to go back to the hub world.
Yeah, I'm gonna make myself look like an idiot here, so I'm perusing the manual right now, okay? For the building climbing scenes, I did not know you could climb those rail things on the side of the building. I thought you had to stay on the face of the building. I'm looking at a screenshot of Bart climbing the side of it.
Are you serious? Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I almost want to reload the game now because I always stuck to like the face of the building, the face that is, facing the screen. This one, screenshot, page 13, if you still got the manual, has a...
I closed it.
It's got Bart, but it's like a side profile, and he's climbing up the side of it. But the screenshot also has a score of 0 on it, so I don't know how accurate it is. Here, I can screen share and show it to you real quick.
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
You know what? How about this, Lethco? This game's all about grading. How would you grade Bartzilla?
C. It's average.
Yeah, I think I'd give it like a C+. It ain't bad. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's going to kind of be the running theme with all of these mini games for me personally, where it's just like, there always seems like there's something missing. And I think that's just because of just the nature of the game. It's a collection of different mini games. And so they can't just focus on one type of gameplay.
While I call it average, I also have to say, if you imagine it as like a food and you're eating a food that you absolutely hate, but then you wash it down with just some bland water, that water will be the best thing you've ever tasted after going through the hub world.
Well, let's move on to a mini game that I know you're not so fond of, which is Temple of Maggie. Yeah, so basically this is inspired by Indiana Jones. It's kind of riffing off of that. It's more or less a puzzle mini game. So platforms drop underneath your feet. Some of them drop instantly, some after a few steps. There are devil enemies that pop up that will force you to panic jump and will also make you backtrack. But Bart is equipped with a whip, and so you can, most of the time, easily take care of the devils. And then in the background, there are these giant statues of Maggie, and she'll spit pacifiers your way. But as long as you plan ahead and keep them out of your line of sight, you should typically just be fine. And then the last aspect of this stage is the condor and the golden egg. And the condors will zero in on the golden eggs that are scattered throughout the stage. But if you grab them before they do, you'll be awarded with extra tries if you happen to fall off a platform. But if you miss your chance, and the condor either grabs the egg or the condor grabs you, you're going to get carried away instead or just miss the egg completely. So
that is such a good explanation for something that I couldn't figure out at all. It's like, here's what happens. I jump, I dodge bad guys, platforms fall out from under me. If I think I got the platforms figured out, I get a pacifier to the face. I hate it.
I feel like I've played a lot of puzzle games similar to this. And honestly, like I can't even think of what they would be called or where they were from. I feel like maybe I've played like board games or something, maybe similar to it. Because every time you move forward, every time you jump from one platform to another one, the platform that you jump to lowers, but sometimes the other platforms around you will raise up. And so you always have to constantly be, sometimes you have to backtrack to make other platforms rise up more so you have more chances to move forward, if that makes sense.
I couldn't get the depth right in the game though to be able to tell. It's like, all right, do I have one more jump on that platform, or is it going to give out if I jump on it? Like, I would struggle to be able to tell if it had one jump left or nothing. But this could be a me problem.
Yeah, I will say, this game, it is frustrating. I can see your frustration. It really does reward patience because you do have to backtrack. You do have to watch the other platforms, which platforms are rising and which ones are falling. And there's a lot of memorization involved also, and some real planning. And honestly, I had a lot of fun with this one. Like, this might have been my favorite mini game, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I mean, I know like not a lot of people are fans of puzzle games. Some of them trip them up a little too much, and I can understand if like you're frustrated or whatever.
I'm just going to go with I was too stupid to figure it out. Give me Tetris instead. I can figure out Tetris and Dr. Mario any day of the week. I couldn't figure out these platforms. It's like, okay, I jump on this one. That one raised, so that one's still safe. This other one lowered. I don't want to go over to that one. So I'm going to try to hop and backtrack. But then when I backtrack, the other one dropped down too low, and I don't have a safe way forward because either the platform is, I think, too low, or I'm going to take a pacifier to the face if I go the other way. I couldn't figure it out.
I think what they should have done for this mini game initially is not have any enemies, not have anything that you have to worry about, so you can just kind of figure out the movement of the platforms and memorize which platforms move where.
Well, that comes back to the fact that this game does not show you what to do. It doesn't give you those first footsteps, just like the hub world. It just drops you in.
But without
and good
the spawning
luck.
enemies and the threat of Maggie shooting something at you, I think it would be nice to just simply figure out what platforms do what. You know what I mean? And I think and that way you would probably be able to like, okay, so I know the orange platforms raise up 2 levels, and if I step on it, it'll drop back down 2 levels. That I know the purple ones will go up 1, and I know they'll drop 1, so on and so forth.
No, see, I never even figured that part out. I didn't realize that the platforms would, like, depending on the color, would drop different levels. Had no clue.
So what grade would you give Temple of Maggie?
Well, I don't know if I'm giving the F to the level or to myself for being unable to figure it out, but either way, someone failed.
Fair enough. I'm going to give Temple of Maggie a B-. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm surprised myself. The next mini game is Bartman. So this is the shooter level that we mentioned before. And this is where I completely fell apart because there's no...
And this is one I can beat
See,
every time.
So, hey, different strokes for different folks.
You're the smart one. I'm the dumb gun everything down
there's,
one.
Here's the thing, man. Like, there's no upgrades. Like, you're just slingshotting the entire time. I couldn't find any health. And the enemies are like bullet sponges, man.
Okay, well, there is indeed health that you can pick up in here. A lot of them are in the Krusty the Clown balloons. If you can take them out, a lot of them are holding health. And Abu, whenever... Yeah, take them out. And then Abu, whenever he flies by, he's actually holding health. It looks like a purple Coke bottle. But whenever he drops it, you can pick them up and they'll give you health.
Yeah, man, I could barely get anywhere in this. And it drags on. It drags on forever. So, like, it doesn't help that it takes forever to kill something. But then the stage itself is like, it's probably not 10 minutes long. Fucking feels like it. I actually had to look up a playthrough of this to even see like what the rest of the stage was. And there's like 4 bosses. There's 4 bosses in this stage. Like,
yeah,
I was never getting close.
But they're not that bad. To me, they're not that bad to beat. But the trick of it is, remember, you're shooting a slingshot and everything you shoot is going to drop down because they're rocks. The trick is to just fly above enemies and spam like mad, and you're just raining hell.
Yeah, it just never
on
felt good. Like, even shooting the rocks out of the slingshot, just it never even felt good. Like, when I play a shooter, like I just played Steam Hearts again for like the 3rd time this year. Don't ask me why, but that game feels great. It's a shooter, man. Like, bullets are raining all over the place, and you're getting upgrades, and stuff is happening on screen, and I mean, stuff is happening on this screen, and it's mostly me getting my ass kicked. But like when Bart shoots the slingshot, it's like, it's slow. It almost seems unresponsive sometimes. It's just like, it's not like he's just constantly flinging them like it's a regular shooter, which is like, I guess if you want realism in your game, he can't constantly just be flinging rocks out of a slingshot, I guess. But also, like, it's a video game. I don't know. I hated it. I was horrible at it. If I was going to give this minigame a grade, I would give it a D. It looks great.
In my case, it would go to a B minus. Like, I think it's eminently playable. It's got cool touches to it as well. Like, whenever you fly over the power plant, the clouds turn green and radioactive. And that's actually the hardest part for me, because if you take a hit from an enemy and you drop down into that cloud, it's like an instant death, because it'll drain your health immediately.
I bet it does. I never got to that part because everything was draining my health anyway. So...
see, the trick that I was doing was just try to get above everything, hammer that fire button while you're trying to fly in an upward arc at an angle, which just allows your little pellets just to rain down on everything.
Yeah, I will say it looks good. The stage looks good, and the music is great too. I mean, we'll talk about more of that stuff a little bit later, but how many more do we have here? Two more mini games.
Yeah, two more.
The next one is Itchy and Scratchy, and this feels like a proper side scroller. Basically, Bart is just running around the Simpsons house while Itchy and Scratchy constantly spawn and run around the house to murder you. You also have to avoid vacuum cleaners, exploding lamps, sentient soda cans, I think. Everything's out to kill you. And on the surface, this is tough. But then I figured something out. You can cheese this entire level. You can cheese this whole stage. So what I did after I died a handful of times, basically you want to find a spot where you can camp out safely, because again you have those exploding lamps that will shoot projectiles at you. Those have a reliable arc, so you can kind of just plant yourself right underneath the lamp. It'll never hit you, and then just like twitch back and forth constantly, left and right, and spam your weapon. And Itchy and Scratchy will just endlessly just spawn into their own death, because it's a one-hit kill. So all you got to do is hit them once and they're done. And then once you kill them enough times, you go on to the second part of the level, which takes place in the kitchen. And for this, again, on the surface, incredibly difficult, very hard. But all you need to do is go to the far left of the stage, camp in the far left corner, and face left, and Itchy and Scratchy will only spawn from the left side of the screen and just fire off screen nonstop. And that's it. You get 2 free pages, basically. It's incredibly easy when you figure out that you could just cheese the whole thing. Now, is that good game design? No. There's a lot of beat 'em ups where I talked about, like, man, this boss is impossible. But if you trap them in the corner and endlessly spam jump kicks, you can cheese them. That's not great game design either. But hey, man, take what you can get. You know?
Let's see, I played it, I guess in a similar way, but not entirely. I wasn't trying to spam shots. I would try to park myself in a safe-ish area. Then I would just twitch to the left or right to get the kills in whenever something would come on screen.
I mean, that sounds like basically what I did.
But it was very, very fast-paced with that twitching, because the enemies have some pretty high-speed movement.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, you have to be pretty quick, and you do have to still watch the side of the screen. I mean, you have a pool of health, so you can take a couple of hits. But yeah, you are, like I said, I use the word twitch for a reason.
Well, aren't some of them instant kill?
The rocket launchers.
Like, I want to say, like, the vacuum and the oven.
I think it's the rocket launchers, and yeah, I think the oven too. But again, I mean, the oven's not even going to bother you. Like, once you get to the left side of the screen, I mean, all you have to worry about is Itchy and Scratchy. But as for a grade, I would grade this mini game. I'm also going to give it a D. I don't think cheesing it should be the solution, but also playing it as intended is also going to be pretty awful. So I think I'm going to give it a D. See,
I would almost go C- with it. The core is there. I feel like they should have, I'm like we're talking about the oven earlier. They should have spent more time cooking. It could have been decent.
It was not done yet. Yeah, totally half-baked. And finally, the last minigame here is Bart's Bloodstream.
Oh, this is so easy.
So the final stage here is basically a vampire's wet dream. It takes entirely within, I'm guessing, Bart's bloodstream, somebody's bloodstream, which is something I had no idea. Like, I didn't know that was the setting for this stage. I think when we were talking off air, and I think you mentioned it being a bloodstream, I was like, it is? I'm like, I didn't know what it was. Like, I had no idea what kind of psychedelic drugs Bart was gotten into before he started dreaming. Cause like, I don't know. I was like, maybe he took that Walmart brand melatonin or something before he fell asleep. Cause I was like, I have no idea what this level is supposed to be. But I mean, yeah, you are swimming around in a bloodstream. Don't do that. That's how you get COVID. And you're basically,
is that where it came from?
Yeah, that's it.
Bart swimming around in Wuhan.
And you're inflating Wuhan. You are inflating viruses in this stage. It's basically Dig Dug, but in a bloodstream.
It's Dig Dug, but you can't disconnect once you're connected. Once you start pumping, you can't stop.
You can't stop pumping till you're dumping. But it's yeah, man, it's a weird level. It's short and easily the easiest stage. There's really not a lot to say about this one.
Well, there's a little bit more, because while Bart's pumping, we find out that Bart's actually cuckolding someone. Because every once in a while, Bart's over there pumping away, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, hi there!
Dude, that was the perfect impression.
You've got your little Adam dude flying on screen, and every time he comes on, hi there! Very Southern. Toby would love him. And you have to pick up these Adam dudes, because your paper is on screen the whole time in this one, but it's got like a shield around it. And every time you pick up the hi there dude, it'll take a chunk off that shield.
The only way I discovered this was because I thought I had to go inflate him. I was like, oh, I got to go pop that guy. It's fine. I really don't have a lot to say about this one, other than it's just like, it's really easy.
They could have extended this one and shortened some of the others, and it would have made a bit more sense, but I liked it.
It's a nice break from some of the other mini games, and definitely a short break from the hub world, as all of these are. These are all a reprieve, even the bad ones. What would you grade this one?
If it wasn't for the fact that it's so short, I think I have to give it a B-. Like, if they would have doubled the length of it, it would have probably gone up to a B+. But it's just too short.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you. I think I'm going to agree. I'd probably give it a B- too. So we talked about all of these stages. We talked about the hub world. Just as like a wrap up, I guess, like a general summary of your thoughts on the entire gameplay portion of this. What do you think?
Well, can we cover a couple of other things real quick? If you don't mind?
Whatever we left on the table, go ahead.
Okay, so first I want to talk about the grading system, because at the end of the game, you can score anywhere from an F to an A+ on your paper. Now, how would you think you're getting your score?
I thought it was by how many pages you collected.
Believe it or not, that's only part of it. The papers are a checkpoint. The more papers you got, the higher your potential is. But even if you get all 8 papers, if your score is low enough, you can still only get like a B or a C. You have to not only get all the papers, but you have to have a high score on top of that. Yeah.
That's, you know what? That just makes my idea even more of a great idea. Like, why is there not a separate story mode, quote unquote story mode, and then an arcade mode?
It's craziness. Oh, it gets even worse. Like, you would think the ending would change somewhat depending on what kind of grade you got. The ending's almost identical. The only differences are the grade that's on the paper and the small facial expressions on your family as they stand around you, even the music that sounds like a dying cat in the background going off is
the
identical.
fact that you're not even given a reward, the fact like you don't unlock more mini games, the fact you don't unlock a mode where it's just play the mini games like an arcade mode. I'm going to keep coming back to this idea because that's what they should have done, is demoralizing.
Yeah, like I said, if they would have ripped out that hub world and just given me a basic ass level choose your game screen, this would have been so much better.
Personally, I think none of the mini games or the stages, I don't think they're great, but I think they're at least creative riffs on the different genres that they're cribbing from. And yeah, I mean, the problem is the hub area.
It was cool to see 5 different gameplay
for sure.
modes. I mean, 6 if you include the hub world, but no, let's not include the hub world. 5 different gameplay modes.
But the punishment for failing out of the mini games is so severe, and the fact that being kicked out to the hub world is a severe punishment is a problem. Because it is a problem.
And even if you win the mini game, you still feel like you're getting punished because you're back in the hub world.
It just drags the entire pacing down because you might not, like, you get kicked back out on the street and you might not even see a page for 10 minutes. It sucks. It's so bad.
I couldn't imagine being that kid that busted his ass so hard for months on end to get all 8 pages, only for that final reports to come up and he's got like a B- because his score wasn't high enough. I would be so enraged.
And then you get nothing for it.
Honestly, just give me a password at the end of each minigame that on the start screen would take me straight to that minigame, and I'd probably be happy.
Yeah, an entire game that takes place within a dream with like mini games stitched into it. It's a great idea. I totally get like what they were going for, but the execution is not good. It's poor. So I don't remember what happened the last time you were on the show when we talked about Vector Man. I don't even remember the game that we played, but we do have to play a game.
Is it Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
You may have asked that the last time you were on, and I'm sorry, we're still not playing that.
I thought we played that one earlier, like off the show. There is no way you're drawing a blank right now.
Oh my God, we didn't even... I totally forgot. Let's talk about that at the end of the show, okay?
Right on. It's just a decent segue for later.
First, we have to play a game that I would like to call Back That Ad Up. Lethco, you a big, fine woman. Won't you back that ad up?
She's sleeping behind me right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Earlier, we were talking about manuals, but this was a time where like manuals were incredibly important to the games that we played. And on the back of every manual, most of the time, there were ads promoting other games that were releasing and that were on the horizon by the same developer or publisher. What I'm going to do is give you 3 clues as to what the games are in the back of the manual of Bart's Nightmares. I'll give you 3 clues as to what these games are on the back of the manual, and you will have 3 guesses at what the games are being promoted on the back of the manual. Now, this is going to be a pretty short game, because there's only 2 ads on the back of the manual for Bart's Nightmare. So what I did was then I went into the manual of I went into the manual of both of those games to see if they had ads for other games. And only one of them had an ad for another game. So, unfortunately, there's only 3 games on this list. So, this is going to be a short little quiz. but I don't know. In the future, hopefully there'll be more. So, Lethco, are you ready? All right, cool.
Yep.
Game number 1. This movie is a tie-in where you are likely to lose your clothes.
It's based off a movie.
It's a movie tie-in where you are likely to lose your clothes.
Huh. Sadly, I've got nothing.
Okay. The next hint. You will swap between blasting enemies on foot and riding a motorcycle.
I'm going to... Oh, God. I can't remember if it was Acclaim. Terminator 2?
Correct. Yes, Terminator 2
Okay.
Judgment Day for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah, the last hint would have given it away. Hasta la vista, baby. Very nice. You got it within 2 clues. You don't get anything special for you don't get anything if you get any of these right. This is just for fun.
I got a happy
Yes,
chime
you did.
noise.
Just be sure you don't get one of these.
Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
Ooh, that was dark.
It is indeed. The next game is a crossover where superheroes get trapped in Murder World.
I'm gonna have to go into the second clue. I've got maybe sort of idea, but I'm not sure on it.
Superpowers include eye lasers, weather manipulation, and wall crawling.
Okay, it's not what I was originally thinking. Is it X-Men Return of Arcade or Revenge of Arcade?
I'll give it to you. Yes, it's Spider-Man / X-Men Revenge of Arcade.
I forgot Spider-Man was in that game, but yeah.
The crossover from the first hint. Crossover superheroes. And the last hint was the villain just wants to play arcade games.
I've never actually played that game. I've only heard of it.
I haven't played it, and I did not know that there was a supervillain called Arcade.
I've actually read a few comics that he's been in, but I haven't played the game.
I can't wait for whatever Marvel movie he shows up in.
It's just going to be a movie of angry podcasters against all these mutants and superheroes.
He's going to be on a retro gaming podcast. The next game, you're armed with way more weapons than the movie ever allowed.
That was Acclaim. I don't think True Lies was Acclaim. I'm going to go turn 2.
This is an adaptation of a 1992 Prison Planet sequel.
Yeah, I'm still
In
lost.
space, no one can hear you continue.
Alien 3?
That is correct. Alien 3 for the Super Nintendo
lucky.
Entertainment System.
Yeah, I should have thought Prison Planet from Alien 3, but that didn't hit me at first.
Well, I know this is like, I know there are probably some people listening who have been on my show before and probably thinks it's a little unfair that you only got 3 games, but hey, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Lethco, you got 3 out of 3, man. I'm going to play a special little chime here. I don't have it on the soundboard. I'll put something else in here. But hey, man, you should be proud. You got a perfect score. That's not something that happens very often on this podcast, but here we are. You are amongst the elite.
All I needed was multiple helping hands and a limited number of questions.
This has, of course, been Back That Ad Up. Moving on to the presentation of Bart's Nightmare, what do we think about the graphics, music, and sound effects? And I mean, I've kind of been dropping hints towards it all night. I think this is where the game is actually going to get most of my kudos, is the presentation. I mean, visually, I think this game looks incredible. I think it's on par or maybe even better than the arcade game, honestly. And I mean, this is 1992. So, and I think the arcade game was 1991. So, I mean, this is only like a year later on less capable hardware. So, yeah, I mean, and like we said earlier, it looks like these were like ripped straight from the cartoon. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it looks great.
Yeah, the sprite work is really good. And a lot of the sprites are big, chunky sprites, too, with a lot of detail put into them. Graphically, looks great. And they use a decent selection of voice clips, too.
Start talking about the sound effects in the soundtrack. The visuals on the Bloodstream stage, I think, are really cool. Like I said, it kind of looked like you took Walmart brand melatonin. And that's because I like the Bloodstream stage is doing like some weird, I don't think it's mode 7. I don't think it's mode 7, but it's doing like this weird layered transparency effect that like.
It's doing the parallax scrolling with transparency.
Okay. Yeah. So it makes it look like he's actually swimming through like an artery. But yeah, I mean, I have no complaints about the visuals. I think the visuals are fantastic.
Yeah, for the era it came in, and the fact that it released so close to an arcade game that looked very similar, I think that it looks really well done.
Yeah, and the sound effects are really good. I think like the only sound effect I was kind of annoyed by was when Bart gets hit in the hub world. He's just like, ugh! Like it's how often you get hit in the hub world, it sucks. I hate.
What kind of noise would you make if you had a disembodied statue head come at you?
Oh, dude, I just don't get me started again.
6 of them.
It got annoying after a while.
All of the same statue.
But like the voice clips, what little voice clips there are in this game sound perfectly fine. I mean, if we even compare this to what they were doing on the NES, which was like technically like putting voice samples on an NES was like very difficult to do. And obviously it showed because they did not sound very good, but these sound perfectly fine.
Yeah, the sample size is tiny.
These sound perfectly fine. And as far as the soundtrack goes, I think it's kind of underrated. The title screen or the title screen theme is a banger, man. It's really good. And the hub world, which like, you know, we've hated on the hub world this entire podcast. The song that plays in the background, pretty sick. And I think the subtle change in the music as you start to lose life, as you start to lose life, the horns and the bass slowly drop out until you're just left with the kick drum, basically, and Bart, I guess, rapping in the background. So it's a neat little touch.
The only gripe with the music I have is the end game over music. Like that. Yeah. That track drops the ball. It sounds like a cat dying in the background.
But, I mean, it's a game over screen, so I think it's supposed to be miserable. Like, you don't want, like...
Other than the fact that it's the same music if you get an A+ or an F.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. I did know that. Okay, that's stupid. Yeah. I get, like, a game over...
But that is the only... knock I can give.
I mean, my nitpick here is going to be the Temple and the Bloodstream themes, because those go for more atmosphere than something that you can actually like jam out to. I think the songs fit the stages just fine, but like when you look at the soundtrack as a whole, I wish they stood out a bit. And I guess they do stand out because they are so different, but.
I'd say they are fitting too. Like the Itchy and Scratchy soundtrack has a very frantic theme to it, which does match the gameplay quite a bit. The side-scrolling shooter stage has like, I don't know how to describe it, but I enjoyed the track in it too. Kind of like a slowed down Star Fox feel.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I like I said, I don't have really too many complaints about the presentation. Is there anything we left on the table that we didn't bring up?
No, presentation-wise, like I said, I think it's very pretty. The music, for the most part's good, other than the fact that, and it could just be me, I hate the ending track. Sound effects are all good, and I do like how the sound effects do blend a bit. Like if you do get hit by the Lisa saxophone in the overworld, you get this chaotic saxophone solo thing as it reverses your controls, which is entertaining.
Yeah, it's a nice little touch because, yeah, I mean, they're basically, there's like some status effects in this game. I mean, we already talked about it, but like, yeah, you do get like these subtle sound effects that, you know, if you weren't looking at the screen, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you would still be able to know exactly what's happening, you know?
Yep. Again, the overworld's brutal. Like, it feels like maybe if you're hunting for the last page, it should be that hard. But for the first page, it should be dirt easy, and it's not.
At this point, we've basically exhausted everything that there is to talk about with Bart's Nightmare. And before we get to our final thoughts here, I do want to bring something up that I forgot to bring up when we were talking about the story for this game, which is I got out of the manual, of course. So when I was looking at the manual to see what games were at the bottom of the manual, in the back of the manual, rather, to pick out for the game, and realize that there was only 2 games, I was like, well, let's look at the Sega Genesis version and see if that manual has more games. Unfortunately, it was advertising the same 2 games. But on the back of the manual, they had, what would you call it? Like a
warranty card.
It was a warranty card. Okay.
Yeah.
They had a warranty card on the back, as some manuals tend to have. And somebody filled it out. Lethco and I, mostly Lethco, I basically I sent him a screenshot. The way the person wrote their name made it look like their name was Penis, but it's not a P, it's a D. His name was Dennis. But anyway, I sent it as a joke to Lethco. There's a lot more information written on that card. Lethco did some digging, and I guess just let the listeners in on what you found out.
Well, people, always watch your personal information and how much you put out there if you don't want found. Because this kid at the time, he put his name, his phone number at the time, the date, and his street address, along with his age. So if you know what you're doing and you have just even a basic Facebook account, you can probably hunt someone down. So first we looked up his area code. And it is a 13-year-old kid's writing, so it took a couple times to decipher it. But we narrowed down the area that he had lived in by the area code. So based off that, we had a street address, but we didn't have a city, state, or zip code. But using the area code and the street address, we could narrow down the towns that he could have been in. And I'm not going to give it away because I don't know if this gentleman wants talked about online or not. So we're not going to give out any identifying information here. But more or less, using that info, we found him.
And Lethco did message him on Facebook. I was like, just give it a shot, man, because you never know. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You know?
Unfortunately, I never got a reply. That being said, he has multiple Facebook accounts. I first found one account that was a dead account, but I followed information off that dead account to find what I think is his new one. But his last post there, without giving too much away, was between 3 and 5 months ago.
Hey, listen, the offer's on the table for him. If he wants to come on or not even come on the show, he can just send a voice recording into the show and be like, hey man, you guys are wrong. Bart's Nightmare is awesome. You got it all wrong. Yeah, I'll play it on the show, but I'm not holding my breath. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't either. I have a message out to him, and like I said, I'm going to send him a link to the episode when it comes out. Again, I don't want to give away any identifying information.
Right, yeah,
on
we're
this
not trying
guy.
to dox anybody, but Bart's Nightmare, let's finish this. Let's summarize our thoughts and talk about whether or not we would recommend checking out The Simpsons: Bart's Nightmare in 2025. And I think you might be a little, I think you might be a little more fair on this than I will be. And plus you're the guest, so I'll let you have the last word. I think that's fair. To be completely honest, I was absolutely ready to hate on this game coming into this episode. I didn't like it as a kid. Every other Simpsons game that I've played for the show is straight trash, and I know that a lot of people don't look at Bart's Nightmare very fondly. But as far as the mini games go, they're fine. I think a lot of them are too short to enjoy. The longer ones, in my experience, are more frustrating than they are fun. The controls are clunky. Not exactly because they're like broken or anything, like they work. It's just the mechanics are very weird. And I also think the game is trying too hard to juggle too many genres at once. There's a lot of different gameplay mechanics that the game has to accomplish with the tools that it has. And at the end of the day, I don't think there are enough stages. If the devs had taken one of these ideas and maybe actually worked it out and built a full game around it, I think Bart's Nightmare could have genuinely been great. Or they could have also done the idea again, where I was talking about, they could have a story mode where you drop into the hub world, you play the game as we played it, and then maybe you unlock a mode eventually where you get to just play the minigame stages as they're intended to be played. And I'll say, like, Bart's Nightmare, it's got scope. It's got scope. I'll give it that. But man, the hub world absolutely just sinks the gameplay here. The real tragedy is how good the game sounds and how good it looks. The graphics, the music, the faithfulness to the TV show, everything's there. They finally got it right all these years later. But man, presentation alone can't save gameplay. Gameplay is king, and Bart's Nightmare doesn't even step foot in the kingdom. And I see what they were trying to do. I respect it more now than I did when I was coming into this. And honestly, it's weird to say, but so far, this is the best Simpsons game that I've played for the podcast so far. But even with that said, I can't recommend it. I would say, no, don't play this game. It's kind of a backhanded way of complimenting the game, but yeah, I mean, there it is. Lethco, what do you think, man?
Well, there are 8 pages that
Just
you're
like
trying to
Slender Man.
find in the game, right? So let's treat it. Yeah, so let's treat it like you're making a report on The Simpsons for your school project. You want to do a report on, this cartoon that's been around forever that has this huge legacy to it. And the last couple pages of your report make some pretty good points. And it has, a few areas that are really, really interesting and informative, and sometimes even gives you a unique viewpoint. But unfortunately, the first 6 pages of your report talk about why Pamela Anderson was the voice actress
Drug
in
money.
Stripperella. That's how I would rank. Yes. More or less the words drug money repeated in different fonts and colors for 6 pages. The idea for the game is excellent, and the execution for some of the mini games, I would say, is competent. I wouldn't call it anything great, but it's competent. But the entire overworld ruins the game for me. I shouldn't have to work this hard to have a little bit of fun. If you're going to play a Simpsons game, I would either recommend the original arcade game or maybe Hit and Run.
Hit and Runs, that's going to come much, much later in my podcast, but yeah.
Hopefully I will be around for some of those
Coming
PS1
in 2029.
episodes.
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully you'll be back sooner than later. In fact, I think you will. I'm not sure which episode's off the top of my head, but thank you for joining me on this one and playing and sticking through with Bart's Nightmares here.
Oh, it was one I was interested in revisiting because, again, it's like I remembered not liking it as a kid, but I wanted to see if maybe I was missing something. But, of course, no, it's not me. It was the game that was wrong.
And if, for whatever reason, people aren't familiar with what you do on your side of the internet, why don't you plug your stuff now? Let them know where they can find the Afterglow and Grimglow.
I am the host of Afterglow and a co-host of Grimglow. On Afterglow, I do something similar to what Keith does here. I talk about my memories of video games that I played in my childhood, but I bounce around a little bit. Keith goes in more of a chronological order where I bounce around all over the place. I'm much like the member berries in South Park, where I will see a picture on the internet and I go, hey, I member, and then I'll make an episode on it. And the other show that I help with is the Grimglow, where I am joined by Grim from the Lost and Gone podcast, where we cover old school tech. Our first episode was on Tamagotchi, and the second episode is being edited as we speak, which will be on Simon.
They're both really, really great podcasts. And again, I mean, I've recommended you many times, especially when you've been on the show. And then, yeah, like you said, if anybody's listening to this, you're a fan of my show, your show is pretty similar to mine. And if people need a starting point, I was actually invited back on your show. Somehow you invited me back on and we talked about Final Fantasy VIII. So you can go back and listen to that. That was an awesome episode because I got a lot of stuff off my chest on that one.
No, you earned that one because after hearing you on so many other podcasts just get railed about that game, I'm here like I really need to get him on and just let him open
genuinely a
up.
therapy session.
Well, I knew my viewpoint in the game, and I know that we have different viewpoints on it, but I'm a bit more open-minded when it comes to that game than a lot of people are.
Thanks again, friend. Thank you for coming on and talking about this game with me tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, we'll do this again, either on your side or my side.
And as for you guys listening, letting you know, the Ghoulcade is not over yet. We have one more episode in the crypt. And if you skip the top of the show, of course, there's even more content on the Patreon. There is an entire bonus episode on the game I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, and a bonus side quest episode on metal music. I don't have a title for that episode yet. I don't know what I'm going to title. It's about my love for metal music and all of its influences on video games and vice versa. But as for the main feed, Matt Storm is back, Chris Dominguez is back, and Samus Aran is back. That's right. We're heading back to ZB's to get a refund for our zesty Kraid noodles. That's a very old main quest reference. I'm returning to, of course, the Metroid franchise with Super Metroid. So until then, take care of yourselves and always remember, it's okay to like a video game.
Moe's Tavern. Hold on, I'll check. Hey, everybody. I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt.